Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. Today I'm on a very frigid morning. It's very cold out, at least right now. But I'm at one of my favorite birding places, Fernald Preserve, which I've made videos about in the past. And I'm gonna be trying something a little bit different here today. I'm actually gonna be birding, not using eBird or my phone, or Merlin Sound ID for that matter. And actually gonna be using a traditional pen and paper checklist. This is like the official Fernald Preserve bird checklist, and as of I think March 2022, it has 254 species on here. They're all kind of like categorized by, like, let's say cuckoos, grebes, ground walking birds, you know, gulls, terns, loons, and so on. And you can also check mark them by both being seen and heard. So why am I doing this exactly? Because, you know, it's just nice to kind of like disconnect a little bit more from the phone. I feel like, especially when I'm out birding, I tend to really get, you know, really involved, at least in the checklist part of it, and identifying the birds via sound and everything. And it's just kind of nice to have a little break, a little respite from using the phone really for birding, and to just focus on the sights and sounds that I'm hearing and seeing. Yeah, and sometimes, you know, sometimes eBird, for example, has like database migrations or updates that may, you know, cause some downtime, and so you actually can't use it very much, at least. And so I just think this would be a nice way to try something different here, but still within the realms of, you know, bird watching and everything. And I think it'd be really cool to try this out the old-fashioned way, because obviously people used to use tally sheets and things like this. It should warm up here to about the mid-40s once the sun rises. That'll probably warm things up pretty good here. Got my, you know, setup here. I got the binoculars and my telephoto lens and all that in camera. So yeah, we're gonna be probably looking at hiking probably all the trails today. At least my plan is to do that. Just so I can really fill out this checklist with as much as I can here for this cold winter day here. All right, so it's a beautiful sunrise, and I can already tell the difference. It's starting to warm up. You can really see the thin layer of frost here. I guess they call it hoar frost, and it's just coated on everything. I mean, all the grass and leaves and trees, and even this like little observation deck here. So for the morning here, I already started out on the, I think it's the bio-wetlands trail, which is like the smallest little, it's basically just a flat little path that goes around the observation deck. Had a gray ghost, as they're known, a female northern harrier that like swooped down pretty low, and I wasn't ready for it, so, but I got pretty clear visual just with my own eyes of the bird itself. And then other than that, a lot of Canada geese flying over. I've been taking like just quick dock shots of the flyovers in their little V formation, just to see if there's any, you know, snow geese or cackling geese, or even graded white-fronted geese. So I haven't seen anything, unfortunately, besides Canada goose, or geese rather, in the flocks as they fly around. I think towards kind of like the north and the west, I think they're flying towards. But now I'm on the Weapons to Wetlands trail. I'm just checking out the different ponds here on this other observation deck here. They're all pretty much frozen over completely, so there's not too much activity and nothing standing out on the ice, unfortunately. So no real ducks at the moment. Seems to be at the different ponds and the bodies of water, unfortunately. So, but I'm still nonetheless filling out the checklist pretty well. By the visitor center, which you can kind of see in the background there, that looks like they just recently put out some bird feeders, so lots of the sparrows and cardinals and some starlings were even hanging around there as well. So that was pretty cool. And then also another highlight was I had close by like a kestrel, American kestrel, swoop down low and then perch in a tree, so I got some images of that as well. So all in all, yeah, it's been going pretty well. Quickly filling out the checklist here, even though I've only been here for maybe about half an hour or so. And but yeah, gorgeous light right now, as you can see, just over the frosted landscape here around me. And yeah, no other place I'd rather be, really. I mean, this is such a great place all times of year. I will say though, doing the checklist, one thing to note is I only brought a pen, and in these cold temperatures it's kind of hard to write, and I don't really have, besides like doing my camera here, I don't really have much of a flat surface at the moment to check mark stuff. But other than that, it's been working fairly well. I'm not seeing too much of a difference doing this versus the phone. You know, basically I'll walk around a little bit. If there's some activity, I'll kind of stop and pause, obviously, the view it through my bins, or take images with my camera. But other than that, I'm not noticing too much difference, because this is almost like taking the place of the phone, which is kind of the point, but it's almost like a distraction in a way too, just a little bit. But all right, so it's going pretty well, I think. I stopped by my car to swap out my glasses for my sunshades and get a swig of water. I figured I'd tackle like the trails like this, where it's most expansive and wide open, while the light's really still kind of right, and the sun's still rising, and the light looks pretty nice, even though it is winter now. You know, most of the daytime is really some nice light, really just all around, because the sun hangs lower in the sky a lot more, and it just takes longer to rise and everything. So what was that? Just saw something sort of big just swoop out of a tree, but I don't know what it was. Right by the wildlife blind way over there, structure. But yeah, it's been going pretty well. I'm starting to kind of get into more in the flow of things, the workflow, that is, of using the paper checklist. It's going pretty well. Just like I said, the main thing is sorting it by seen and heard, or both in a lot of cases. But you know, there's still a lot of chances, of course, with birding, where you see a lot more things than you hear, typically in spring, of course. But this time of year, I mean, there's a lot of things calling. Might be able to hear some of them, especially like, you know, sparrows or crows or whatnot. But in terms of photos, I did get some pretty good success, actually. I got some great stuff, some great images of some of the sparrows in particular. There's some bird feeders just situated right outside the visitor center that I staked out and got low to the ground and everything, you know, ground level and eye level, I guess, of some of the sparrows in front light. And those look really, really cool. I've got some tree sparrows in the trees as well, and some white-crowned sparrows on the ground as they feed. So pretty awesome. It's really great to get that kind of stuff. So other species that I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully, are purple finch and fox sparrow. I haven't seen anything since it's been sunrise, or even pre-dawn when I got here. I haven't seen any short-eared owls, unfortunately, besides that one harrier, which I guess those could come throughout the day too, of course. They're just most active on the dusk, I believe. Other than that, I finally heard a red-breasted nuthatch. I've had some downy woodpeckers, and some chickadees are all over this. There's like 3 or 4 that are just all around these trees. Ooh, there's a titmouse right there. Hold on. I wasn't quick enough. Try to get him. He was like eye level, like right here. I just had a fox sparrow. Got a really good visual of it, just clear as day over here in this light. It's kind of dappled, almost side light. This is my first time ever seeing one, actually. I heard one about it, I think a year ago, and it was here actually. Or rather, Merlin Sound ID caught it. But this is my first time actually seeing one. Man, they really are huge. They're really chunky. I thought it was a female cardinal until I looked through my binoculars and I just saw that like very rufous kind of umber, burnt orange color, I guess you could say, with the striking gray plumage and everything. You know, this one, of course, being a red variant. But that was so cool. I'm looking down here, and where I last saw him, he just kind of went in this brush, in this kind of thicket right here on the ground. But I'm hoping he comes back out. He's probably long gone by now. I mean, I probably missed it completely, but that was like seriously cool to see that. That's nice. I wish I got a photo though, but we can't be too greedy, I guess. So I'm probably about 2/3 of the way done here with the North Woods. Now this is interesting. I guess it's kind of interesting. The North Woods, this particular part of Fernald, is actually in Butler County, and the rest of Fernald to the south is in Hamilton County. So just something to keep in mind. I know the eBird hotspot, has in parentheses Butler County on the hotspot name itself. So yeah, it's been quite a lot of activity here up in the trees and everything. It's been very nice to also be able to see them, of course, given the time of year. So all the leaves, of course, or most of the leaves, that is, are off the trees, and so they're bare, and it's much more easier to see like woodpeckers and nuthatches. Now I kind of like laid out my plan for the day a little bit strategically. I'm hoping that the sun, with it being higher in the sky, warms up and kind of starts to melt the ponds. So probably at the end of the day I'll do the Lodge Pond Trail, which is the very first trail and kind of like area and hotspot that you see on the right side as you enter Fernald here. And so I'm hoping that gets a little bit more melted away, and therefore some ducks or other waterfowl can really fly in there, just so we can maximize our species count and hopefully see some cool stuff from out there. Alright, so switching gears here a little bit, I'm now on the Shingle Oak Trail that connects directly to the Sycamore Trail. These are nice woodsy trails as well. A lot of pine trees, especially at this early part over here. And yeah, the sun's poking right through the cloud. It's getting pretty cloudy, but the sun is still, I guess, strong enough to burst some rays of light through. So still very plentiful with the light. But I have noticed that ever since I started walking away from the North Woods and then back over onto this other side of Fernald, that bird activity has really slowed down dramatically, actually. There's a couple of species flying around, singing or whatnot, moving around, of course. And then, of course, there's like the white-crowned sparrows and the American tree sparrows at the very beginning near the visitor center that are by the bird feeders and the seed. But other than that, it's just been super quiet. Getting a little bit more of a wind gust, so maybe that's also kind of like affecting them. And it's also later in the morning, like I think it's about 11:30 right now a.m. And so I think that's just also, with it being later in the morning, they're kind of more resting a little bit more and slowing down again as we get to the middle of the day here. But yeah, kind of weird. I don't know. But I've gotten some cool photos, like I said, overall throughout the morning. Even got a couple of like close-up, almost headshots of some deer, some white-tailed deer
that have been out here as well. So that's been pretty cool. But I'm gonna do a little bit of this trail, and then I'm gonna do the Lodge Pond Trail, which I'm probably gonna drive over because it's a little further away from the rest of Fernald here. And then that should be it for the day. But yeah, pretty good checklist. Been quite pleased with it so far. Yeah, I wasn't too much on the rest of the sycamore and shingle oak trails. So I am going back to the car, doing the short drive over to near the entrance at the Lodge Pond. Now that could give us a lot more species depending on if the water, or rather the ice, melted a lot or enough. But there could still be some water, birds and ducks and whatnot out there. Maybe even the resident palm warbler that's been out here very late, very, very late. May see that, and or a meadowlark or some hawks. I don't know, we'll see. Whoa, we just got tons of activity right after I stopped recording that last part. 6 sandhill cranes way up there. Kind of look like they're trying to make a landing. They're doing that kind of like whirlwind, the downward, I guess, like spiral of sorts. Then we had a mature, looked like a full adult bald eagle that was just like flying over there. And then a couple more geese came in as well. So it's definitely, I kind of ate my words there a little bit, but it looks like it's still, you know, quite a bit of activity right now, at least from the larger birds right now. So you probably can't see it, but about that tree right there, if you see a little like brown black blob, dark blob with a white head, that's a bald eagle. And it might be the same one that I just saw down there. Oh, I'm at the Lodge Pond, by the way. I drove over here, but I literally just got out and noticed that. And it's funny because that tree over there, I've seen a bald eagle before. I've actually seen 2 before. One was like a juvenile, or molting or something, and then that bald eagle was also there. So it's pretty cool. It's interesting to see them on that same tree perch, and this is just obviously with experience in going here year after year. Pretty cool to get that. I got a couple shots though on the camera here, and there is a lot of Canada geese and a swan out there. I don't know if that's a mute swan. I don't see any ducks though. Well, actually there might be a couple, so they're way out there. As you can see up there, there's probably about, I'm gonna guess 30 is my estimate, Canada geese. There's maybe like 4 to 6 mallards, and there's something flying overhead. Hold on. What is that? And they're flying away, of course. They had a white underside. I don't know if that was more mallards or might have been ring-necked ducks, to be honest. I'm not too sure. Anyways, back to this. And one mute swan, it's pretty typical. There's usually, I think, like 1 to 3 mute swans that are pretty much residents here almost year-round. And so today's no exception, but there's just one out there right now. The other ones might be tucked away in the back. I've seen them back there before as well. There's something again flying over there. Let's see what we got. It's kind of big. My binoculars keep falling down. Hold on. Stand by. I'll be right back. I can't tell. My hands are shaking, holding my bins only in one hand. It's a hawk or something. Yeah, hold on. So the wind's really picking up now. It's kind of like coming and going in gusts. And those are 2 harriers, by the way. I didn't actually mention that yet. Yeah, making my way here on the Lodge Pond Trail. Nothing too crazy going on at the Lodge Pond itself, this big body of water, but I'm hoping to find something over here. Most people don't really take this entire trail all the way back, but I've actually had some great success, like I've mentioned previously, like palm warbler, eastern meadowlark, kestrels. I've seen rock pigeons in the distance over here too. red-shouldered hawk, you kind of name it. You kind of get a good variety back here. So I always like to, if I have time, usually I make time for it, really, to go back here and check out this particular trail and go all the way back and see everything. So over here, actually, I have gotten the red-shouldered hawk practically on the same perch. It's crazy how all of a sudden these like little events and encounters are repeating themselves as they are here. And so I got some really close-up front lit, kind of like on an isolated perch, images of this red-shouldered hawk as it just is balancing on these kind of thin tree branches in the wind and just trying to hold foot. It just flew off down. Looked like it's been kind of like hunting or whatever. It's been flying down to the ground and kind of staying down there, so it must have caught something. It's done it at least twice so far, and but it's been really cool to see that kind of thing happening in that kind of hunting instinct and behavior. All right, everyone, that's gonna be it for the video here. Yeah, that was pretty good, actually. I did just about all the trails, I think, at least most of it. About 5 or 6 miles total, maybe, of hiking and walking. I've been here, it's now 1 p.m. I've been here since right before the crack of dawn, which was like 7:50 something. So anyways, got 36 species for the day. Most of them were both seen and heard. Some are only seen, obviously some are only heard. But for the most part, yeah, I think just to overall sum up my thoughts about doing a checklist in like this traditional paper format, I think it works, of course. I mean, it's, you know, as long as you have a pen or a pencil or something to write with to jot down your things and your notes and whatnot, it works. It's fine. I think my phone's a much more immediate thing, just with using eBird and stuff in that regard. And yeah, but it's a nice way to kind of disconnect, though, honestly. And one thing I didn't mention earlier was that, or at the beginning of the video, was that, like, what if you're, let's say you didn't plan ahead or something, or your phone dies, you know, loses battery. It's nice to have something to write down your field notes or, you know, your checklist and whatnot. So it's a nice way. I think it takes the place of it, and it kind of works. I don't think I'm going to be doing this on the regular, you know. I think just because of my phone's a lot more convenient, and it's one less thing to carry, even though, you know, a piece of paper or two is not super heavy and stuff. But it did feel in a way a lot nicer to you know, have no Merlin sound ID on, and to just actually focus on hearing things, and not only trying to identify them through, you know, hearing, but also trying to find where they're at. So, like, obviously you hear a bird song and you over this way, and you want to go over there and kind of find the bird or whatever to get a visual on it. And so in that way, I feel like it did kind of make me more present, more mindful about what I'm hearing and where. You know, not so much the visual, I mean, that was important, but just I think the auditory aspect of it, I guess, was a lot more important, instead of relying on Merlin Sound ID to just hear things that I didn't pick up on in that moment or whatever. But anyways, I've rambled enough. This was fun. This is pretty cool. Nice little, I guess, experiment, and it was a great day of birding, and I actually got quite a bit of photos to share with you guys. This was a really fun time, and I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.